work up the courage to walk through your door, to call you or to set up an appointment with you, be ready, because you owe it to them. Like they've done the hard thing. They've made the move, they've taken action, and they've decided to do something for themselves. And so if you don't know how to sell or to say the right things to keep them moving forward, then, you're going to end up doing them a disservice because they're not going to follow through on what they wanted to accomplish.
You're listening to episode 188 of the Fitness Business Podcast. We'd like to thank this month's premier podcast partner, who are also our most recent partners to join the show, Gym Sales. Gym Sales gives your sales team the tools that they need to capture, nurture, and convert new members. To find out more, visit gymsales.net. Welcome along to our first show for the month of September. We have a big name guest kicking off the month, someone who lives and breathes fitness. And if you've ever heard her speak at an industry conference, then you will know just how much value you're about to get from today's show. Our special guest is the owner of Results Fitness and Results Fitness University, Rachel Cosgrove. During today's interview, we discuss a major challenge that Rachel and her husband faced very early on in their business. And Rachel shares with us how they were able to handle going through such a difficult time, yet still keep their business running. We then go on to chat about marketing, and Rachel talks us through some of the considerations for a great fitness website. And then we dive into the main topic for today, which of course is sales. I think we all know that it is not easy running a profitable fitness business, but Rachel's done it for 18 years. So I wanted to understand their sales processes, and specifically we talk about 3 ways to make more revenue in your business. We then move on to talk about creating a strategy around how you can increase your prices. There is heaps and heaps of valuable information coming your way in just a minute. But before we transition into this week's show, here's a message from our newest podcast partner. Gym Sales allows you to plan, implement, and monitor a proactive sales strategy that's automated and uniform. You can give your sales team the tools that they need to capture, nurture, and convert new members, which means it's easier than ever before to grow your member base. Make sure you head over to gymsales.net to find out more information. Plus, listen out after today's main interview because I had the opportunity to catch up with the founder and CEO of Gym Sales, Tristan Alexander, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about the great benefits of using Gym Sales in your business. Enjoy this week's interview with Rachel Cosgrove. Rachel, welcome along and thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you briefly mentioned in your pre-call Quickfire 5 last week that, of course, you have been in business, your business that you founded, Results Fitness, for 18 years now, which is a phenomenal achievement in itself. Can you talk us through any of the biggest business challenges that you've faced during that 18 years and how you overcome those challenges?
Sure. I mean, there's so many challenges throughout the over 18 years. You experienced quite a bit. When we opened Results Fitness, we knew nothing about running a business. So when you talk about challenges that come up, really as passionate fitness professionals who are wanting to change lives and who feel like you know enough about everything you can about training to help other people, but you know nothing about running a business, and thinking we could get away with not knowing anything about business was definitely our first challenge. So having to learn how to market, how to sell, how to build a team, how to manage a team, how to, all of those things. I think, this is so awesome that you have this podcast that's providing this kind of information, because there just wasn't anything like this when we first opened Results Fitness. And so definitely, with that, starting to learn everything that we learned, we put systems in place, and we started to learn about how to systemize your business and how to get everything running so that it would run without you, and really started to create all of that. And one of our first biggest challenges that I hope not everyone has to face was my husband was diagnosed with cancer. And so it was about 4 years into our business, and we had gotten enough things in place that the business was running pretty smoothly without us. And so, him being diagnosed with cancer, we were able to step out of the business while he fought cancer. And he went through chemotherapy for 6 months. And after a year, it came back a second time. And so he was then admitted into UCLA for a stem cell transplant. And so literally for a good year and a half, we weren't completely, able to be hands-on with our business. But because we had all of the systems in place, and we had a good team in place, and we had all of the things that we had learned to run a business in place, the business kept running and kept paying us, and kept, we were able to focus on him, fighting this disease. And when we got back, we had actually grown, and, we actually decided to take a year off after that. So he had gone into remission, and he and I were like, well, heck, the business is running well. Let's just take a year off and do some traveling and recover from, everything that he had been through. And so that was definitely, I don't want anyone to ever be in that situation where they do get tested of whether or not your business will run without you. But you do want to get if we hadn't had all of those systems in place, and we hadn't had, really studied business and figured out how to run a business, I don't know that it would have, been still open with what we were going through. And so, definitely I think for everybody is just making sure that, you do start to think about how can I put system, even if you do want to be the one that's still doing a lot of the day-to-day, could you step out and put somebody else in that role? And do you have, the scripts in place, the systems in place, the, everything that you need to be able to be hands-off? One, if something like that were to happen, I hope not. But two, so that you can free yourself up to think bigger, to focus on the vision for your company, and to, really grow your company or look for your next opportunity of, what else you want to do to reach your mission. So that, I think, was, one of the biggest challenges that we've been through was facing that.
Well, Rachel, first of all, I want to thank you for sharing such a personal story with us today. And, it really does go to show, you mentioned the systems in your business and how important it is to have that. And I think one of the things you mentioned that happened about 4 years into your business, but implementing those systems from day one is such an important step. And as a matter of fact, we only recently had Travis Barnes on the show, who, of course, has some amazing advice on systems. And if anyone missed that show, make sure you go and check that out. That was show 185, where Travis Barnes shares some great business systems. The other thing that occurred to me, though, Rachel, as you were telling that story, is you must have had an incredible team of people in place to help you during that time.
We did. We absolutely did. We had a manager in place by that point, and we had, so one of the things, for running your business that I think most trainers make the mistake of is they don't hire an administrative assistant or somebody to handle the operations and the systems first. I think that's the first person everybody needs to hire. So if you've just started your business, or if you're still, a solopreneur and you're the one doing all the work, I think a lot of us as trainers think the first person we want to hire is another trainer. And, that's so common that, and that was one of the mistakes we made, is we hired a trainer first. We thought, let's get another trainer in here. And pretty soon you have trainers working for you, and you got more and more clients coming in, but you end up being the one that's doing all of the busy work that, you could actually pay someone, a rate that's probably not the same as your rate to train people. And so, that's something that I think advice for everyone is just make sure, that first hire you do is you get somebody who's organized, who can help you to really make sure the systems that are in place, run that behind the scenes, whether they're, she was like an office manager for us. And so having that in place definitely makes a huge difference. And I think if for most people as they start their business, if you don't get that person in place first, then you end up not being able to continue to build your team. So that's definitely one of those first hires, is get that office manager in place.
I'm so glad that you touched on that. And I think you're so accurate when you say that, when we first start off, we think, we got to get more trainers on board, service more clients. But that role that you just described is absolutely pivotal in running a fitness business. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now, we are going to be talking about sales shortly. But before we do that, I wanted to actually touch on something which really jumped out at me, because when I was researching for this interview, one of the things I did was have a look at your website. And honestly, I see a lot of different websites for fitness businesses all over the world. And with yours, it really jumped out at me. I mean, the design is obviously beautiful, but the messaging, it's so strong, it's clear, and it's not overcomplicated. It's not cluttered with information. I'm wondering if you can talk to us about your marketing, your website. What role does that play for introducing new prospects to the business? And what do you feel have been those critical elements that have made your website a success?
Sure. Yeah, I think, in marketing, you always, first of all, always want to start with putting yourself in your target market's shoes, like really thinking through who am I trying to talk to? And I think, a lot of us as fitness professionals, we tend to market and build our websites and even our social media for our peers, or for people that are like us. And that's not necessarily who we're trying to reach. And so really thinking through, who is that person that I'm trying to reach? Who is the person that I want to come walking through my gym, who I'm going to change their life? And what conversation are they having in their head right now? And so, yes, of course, your website is going to be, at this point, people may find you on social media, but they're probably going to Google you, and they're probably going to look up your website. And so many times it can be one of their first impressions of who you are and what you do. And so you really do want to make sure that it is super clear that and who you're for. I think that's the main thing, and so one of the things we use on our website, when we have a lot of stories and testimonials and pictures of our clients, so that the client that might be ready to join our gym, if they go to our website, they're going to know, oh, okay, there's people there that are just like me, so, and I think every website we need to set it up so that the goal is to get them to take action. And so the more, like you said, cluttered or like information or stuff you end up putting on your website, you're just distracting them from actually, clicking the button to take action to give you their information. And that's really what you want to do is, hold them there long enough that you're going to capture them. And then if they're interested, they're going to go ahead and, start to fill in their information to, let you know that they're interested in what you do. And so making sure that that's very easy and clear, so that way, hopefully if they end up on your website, you're going to end up, getting their information so that you can, get to know them. And so, from there, they get added to an email list, and then that way we can start to build a relationship with them. And I think, we all know that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And so if you have that time to be able to, know, like, and trust, that they get that time with you to get to know, like, and trust you, you're going to be more likely to turn them into a new client.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I really like how you started off that answer when you said how important it is that we put ourselves in the shoes of our customers. Rather than trying to create a website that's for our peers or for our industry, we've got to keep thinking back to our target market, our avatar.
Yeah.
And
so many times I see trainers that they'll put like bullet points of all of their equipment, like kettlebell training, TRX training, and it's like, your target market doesn't care, or they don't even know what that is, so don't just, nobody cares about all your certifications and all about all of your, what they care about is, do you know how to help someone like me?
Yeah. And like your business name is, they care about results, right? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I love that, Rachel. Thank you so much for taking us through that. So, look, I do want to talk to you about sales today because obviously, as I mentioned right up front, you've had an incredibly successful business. You've been in business for 18 years, and I want to really understand some of the successes that you've had throughout that time. So, you talk about the sales process being the backbone of your club. So, can you talk us through what you mean by that?
Sure. So, everybody, I think, as fitness professionals, a lot of times we can be afraid of sales, especially, if you're a trainer who, is opening a business. And I know for us, we were like, oh no, when we first opened, we don't want to sell anything because, God forbid. Right. And, and then realizing, sales is not a bad thing, right? Sales is not a dirty word. It's, really what's all sales is walking someone down the path to help them change their life. That's, if we don't understand how to sell and we don't understand how to say the right things to be able to influence our potential client to take the next step to change their life, then they're going to walk out the door and they're never going to change their life. And I always say, it is so terrifying for our clients to walk through our door, to walk into a gym. If you've either never been in a gym or you've had a bad experience in it, which a lot of people now have had bad experiences. And so, by the time they work up the courage to walk through your door, to call you or to set up an appointment with you, be ready, because you owe it to them. They've done the hard thing. They've made the move, they've taken action, and they've decided to do something for themselves. And so if you don't know how to sell or to say the right things to keep them moving forward, then, you're going to end up doing them a disservice because they're not going to follow through on what they wanted to accomplish. And so, yeah, I think, definitely sales is a huge part of what we need to learn as, fitness business owners. That's definitely a backbone of, what we need.
Okay, so can you maybe share with us or talk us through the sales process that has been successful for Results Fitness?
Sure. So I think, some of the things I was going to talk about were the 3 ways that you can make more revenue. So there's actually only 3 ways in your business. And I think this is one of the things that just to kind of simplify it, because I think a lot of people, when they think about, oh, like I need to make more income, or I don't know, I'm not making enough money, or it can be so overwhelming because, you got so many moving parts in a business. And so how do you really think about, adding revenue to your business? And so really when you break it down, there's only 3 ways you can make money. And that's the cool part, is it's pretty simple. The first way is to add more clients. So, real simple, we need to add more clients. And like, we were just talking about marketing, that's the key, right? To adding more clients. If you're not getting clients coming through your door, if you're not getting new members, and one of the easiest way to get new members is referrals. And so if you're like, I always say, if you're not getting referrals, then we need to look at, look at your product. Like, why aren't your clients referring you people? Because they should be referring you people. You should be getting referrals every single month. And people will say, oh, well, the referrals dried up. And I'm like, well, no, 18 years into business, we still, our number one source of new clients is referrals, because the new people that just got referred then refer people, right? So it doesn't dry up. So if you're thinking like, oh, well, I already got all my referrals, I'm done with referrals, like, nope, it's actually ongoing. So make sure you have a system in place to continue to get referrals, and that's something that, you're constantly bringing, your clients are constantly, they know that's part of your culture. That's part of what we do at Results Fitness, is bring in your friends. So referrals is always going to be number one to add new clients. And then, just like I mentioned, really knowing who your target market is and figuring out your messaging so that you can get super clear with who you're talking to and, how to get through to them to get them to show up in your door. So that's the first one. And then the second one is to get clients to spend more per transaction. So, yes, we can add more clients, but then the next way is let's get people to spend more, especially like when we first get them signed up, what else could we offer them? What other, value add could we do? What other upsells could we do? And so most people, when they first join a gym, they're also looking for help on their nutrition. So maybe you could offer them a nutrition program. Maybe they have something specific or something that they're getting ready for, and you could offer them, extra training sessions, or maybe something, a more specific training plan or something that's upgraded. So thinking through, or, definitely like, if you have supplements that you're offering, things like that. So how could you increase, and it goes back to the McDonald's famous question of, would you like fries with that, right? They've added billions of dollars to their bottom line in French fries because they added that one question to, when people were ordering their food. And, so and I always say, like, think through, what do you use? If you're using it, if it's a supplement that you're using or something that you use for your own health, maybe a recovery tool that you're using, why not offer it to your clients? Why not give them the opportunity to also take advantage of that? And so then that's the second one. So number one is add more clients. Number two is get them to pay more per transaction. And then the third way to make money, and this is all there is these 3, is to get them to spend more often. And so if we can get them to come in more often, so loyalty programs are a great way to do that. If you have, some kind of loyalty program in place where you're incentivizing them to come in 8 times a month, or, however many times, like making sure that they are coming in consistently, and also making sure you're following up. And if people haven't been in for a week, how long does it take you to catch that and give them a call and make sure that they're going to be coming in? So the more often they're coming in. And then also the other thing we have huge success with is offering other programs, so more specific programs. We have, we call it like our executive athlete program. So I have a powerlifting team. We have an OCR team. We have, we've had triathlon teams. We've had marathon and half marathon teams. So things like that once your clients have, maybe lost the weight, maybe they're feeling good. What else are you offering them that they could then, accomplish a new goal, and so with all of those teams, we offer special clinic that goes over specific skills for that event, team t-shirt, and then on the race, they get race day coaching, and so we can charge more for that. So that's on top of their regular membership. They're going to purchase that as an extra add-on, and so those work really great. Or even just transformation, we'll do like a metabolism makeover 30-day transformation program where if they're ready to just really kick it into gear and have a little more accountability and just get a specific meal plan, that all can be something you can add on and give to those clients. And so those are the three things that it's really looking at ways to add more members, looking at ways to get them to spend more per transaction, and then getting them to spend more often. And that's plain and simple. Those are the three ways to add more revenue to your business.
Rachel, thank you so much for talking us through those. And I want to circle right back to the first one that you mentioned, which was the referrals, because you said that you have systems in place that you actually, that allows you to have reoccurring referrals from new members as they come in. And I'm fascinated with this because I know that there's always the question in people's minds, at what point in the life cycle of a member do we ask for a referral? So can you share with us what you do in terms of your strategy around asking for referrals?
Sure. The best time to ask is actually right when they join. That's right away. Because when you think about it, when a client is just joining a gym and they're just becoming a member, that's when they're talking to their friends and family about it because it's exciting. It's something new. They're doing something new for themselves, and they're going to be talking about it. When they've been a member for a while, it can be harder because this is now just part of their life, and so it's not necessarily something that they're talking about bringing up in a conversation with a friend or a family member. So right away when they join, we give them a VIP pass and we say, hey, congratulations on joining Results Fitness. What we found is that our members, if they have a friend or family member here to support them, going along the journey with them, that they tend to have even better success. And so I heard, ideally, if throughout the sales process, if they mentioned a specific person, that's the best, because then you're going to hand them that VIP card and say, I heard you mention your sister and that she was possibly interested in coming in. Listen, I want to go ahead and give you this VIP card to give her a 30-day membership to get started right away with you. So if you can, go ahead and give that to your sister, Heather, and let her know that we'd love to have her come in and join you for this first 30 days. And so right away, we turn one membership into two, because basically then Heather comes in and we're going to sit down with her and we're going to, show her, we're going to build value. But then what we do is we incentivize if they are ready to sign up, they don't necessarily, most of the people don't end up doing the 30 days for free because we end up making them a member right when they come in. And so literally you can turn one membership into two, and then when Heather comes in, you can do the same thing, two memberships into three. And that's how we do it. And even on the phone, when they first call to get information, that's, they're setting up their first strategy session, ask them, hey, do you have someone you want to bring with you? I mean, that's one of the best times is to, right away when they're already excited, they're already talking about you. That's the best time to ask for referrals.
You know what I think is really important about that is the language that you just used, because it's not like you're saying, would you like to refer a friend to the club? You're like, would you like to bring a friend with you to train with you? And I think that language piece is pivotal.
Right. Yeah. Because it's for their benefit. It's like you're looking out for them, and you are, because it is going to be more likely that they're going to come more consistently and they're going to get better results if they have somebody who's doing it with them.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, Rachel. Now, over an 18-year period, I'm going to guess that you've had a couple of price rises during that time for your membership rates. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Do you have an annual price increase that you apply, or do you have a set strategy around pricing increases? Is there any insights you can give us around that?
Sure. Yeah, we do raise our prices every year. I think it's important to do so, if a 3 to 5% increase every year, I think because, cost of doing business goes up every year. And so I think if you don't raise your prices every year and you wait too long and you keep your prices the same, you're going to have to play catch up and make a huge jump, a huge increase in your prices, which can be hard to do. So I do recommend raising your prices every year. One thing that we do is we do have a loyalty program. So if you're a member, we're never going to raise your prices. So existing members get to keep their current prices. And so we have members that have been members for 18 years that still pay what they paid when they first joined 18 years ago, but they're raving fans and they've been members for 18 years. And if you walk in my gym and one of them is there, they're going to do the tour for me because they love the place so much. And so, it's worth it to have that loyalty. And so we've never raised prices on our existing members. We've always, as long as they renew within 30 days. And that's, that is the key is we have had members who leave, and they don't come back, and maybe they go try another gym or they, take some time off, and then maybe they come back 3 months later or even a year later. They're going to be on our existing prices. So this is really more of a reward for members who never leave. They've been there right through, and they've renewed within 30 days every time their membership's up for renewal. And so, that's something that I think the other cool part about it is that when you do raise your prices, you can make a big deal about it. You can actually turn it into a membership drive and let all of your current clients know that, hey guys, we're raising our prices on this day. We want to make sure so that if you know anybody, speaking of referrals, that we can get them in here now on our current prices. And so then every year you can do a membership drive to, get all of the referrals that you want to get before you raise your prices coming in to join your gym. And so it can work really great to do that as well.
That is such an important piece, Rachel, because I think that as a business owner, we can get caught up in the mindset of the guilt of raising our prices, whereas you've just framed it as an opportunity, really.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So we can turn that around. And so what you're suggesting is that when it comes to the time of year that we actually are implementing that price increase, we need to put our marketing hat on and think about, okay, can we get a campaign out to the public, to our prospects, to our existing members to suggest to them that now is the time to get in before the prices rise?
Yeah. And if you think about it, you're also building that loyalty. So your members, if you never raise your prices and your members could leave and come back and your prices are going to stay the same, that gives them no incentive to stay, right? Of course you want them to want to stay, but if you have these price increases and they're not raising their price, it does build loyalty where they're, if they're thinking about, I think I'm going to take a month off or I'm going to take some time off, they're going to rethink it because then they got to come back on the current prices.
Yeah. And would I be correct to assume that in your member contracts you stipulate that? So do you actually have a clause that says, if you continue to stay with the club forevermore, you won't have a price increase, but if you leave, then this is the price that you'll incur upon your return? Yeah.
Our memberships we do 12-month agreements. And so people do commit for a year. And so when that 12-month agreement is up, at that point, so basically we let them know, we will never raise your prices as long as you remain a member, as long as you remain an active member of Results Fitness. And so, but once you leave, then, you're, you're no longer an active member. So when you come back,
you get the new price.
Their prices.
Makes sense.
Yeah. That's what we charge now. Yeah.
And now for this week's Fitbispiration.
Okay, Rachel. Well, look, we finish off with our Fitbispiration. So can you share with everyone 3 tips on attracting new members into a club?
3 tips on attracting new members into a club. I would definitely, we talked about referrals already, and that, like I said, is going to be your number one source of new members, is always going to be referrals. The second one that I recommend is what we call gifting. Getting in front of them. And so once you know who your target market is and you know where they're at or what they're doing, think through, how can I get in front of them? I think all of us are passionate about what we do and we can connect with people. And so building those connections and really getting out and doing the legwork of, meeting people, even if it's just going to the Starbucks that that your target market are hanging out at, or the wine bar that they're hanging out at. It doesn't have to be where you're giving a presentation or it's anything formal. Maybe, it doesn't have to be like a networking group. It can be, but how can you get in front of your target market? So looking for opportunities every single month to gift, to get in front of them. How can I get in front of my target market? Just asking yourself that question to meet somebody who could potentially be your next new member. And then, the third way is really just, I think, I have a whole marketing wheel, but being consistent with your marketing, I think, and the other things that all fall into that would be everything from posting on social media, putting out emails, if you do an advertisement in your local magazine, all the different ways that you can definitely, get your message out there. Whatever you choose to do, be consistent with it. That's the key to marketing. I think a lot of people, they think like they'll try doing an ad in a magazine, or they'll try doing a direct mail piece, or they'll try doing a Facebook ad, and they'll do it once and they'll be like, oh, it's not working. And then they, like, marketing's not working. And well, you didn't actually give it a chance. And, that's all of marketing is it's all about that consistency. So really keep your eyes on that bigger picture, and whatever you do choose to use for your marketing, commit to it for a period of time to give it, time to really get in front of your audience. I mean, if you think about it, like, how many times have you seen or something that you're liable to do, and then you forget, and then you see it again, and you're like, oh yeah, I should really think about that. And then, how many times does it take? Because there's so many things that, we're inundated with, that you just have to stay consistent with your marketing. And so that'd be the main thing.
Yeah, that last point is super important, Rachel, and I think that applies to anything that you do. Consistency really is key, and it's not, I have a saying, which is, it's not about being perfect. It's about just getting out there, get started, and be consistent with what you deliver. And I think marketing is a great area for us to apply that rule to. So listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been such a pleasure getting to chat to you and hearing about the amazing business that you've built with Results Fitness. It's really a privilege for us to have you on the show, because I know how incredibly busy you are, and you do so much to not only work with consumers in the industry, but also to help fitness professionals in the industry. So that's obviously an area that both you and I are totally aligned with, and I want to thank you so much for the work that you do to help professionals within our industry, and thank you for coming on today and sharing your knowledge with the listeners of the Fitness Business Podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Get ready for this week's bonus segment, your extra injection of information, education, and inspiration to strengthen your fitness business.
It is my absolute pleasure to be welcoming today's guest, the founder and CEO of Gym Sales, Tristan Alexander. Tristan, welcome along to the show.
Chantel, it's a pleasure to be here today.
Now, this is your first time joining us on the show, but it certainly won't be your last, because we have recently announced that Gym Sales is one of the latest partners to join the Fitness Business Podcast. Thank you so much for your support.
You're absolutely welcome, Chantel. As a company, we've seen all the amazing things that Fitness Business Podcast has done in keeping, fitness professionals upskilled in their professional development, and we really support that initiative. So I'm really proud to be sponsoring.
Well, thank you so much. And we are really excited to be partnering with Gym Sales because of the amazing work that you do in the industry. And I know that many of the FBP family will already be familiar with the name Gym Sales. But for anyone that hasn't worked with you before or hasn't come across you before, give us a bit of an overview about your business.
Well, to put it simply, Gym Sales really provides sales teams with the tools that they need to capture, nurture, and then convert new members. And we do that in a number of ways. Firstly, it's by that capturing leads. So these days, a lot of leads will come through from your website, from contact forms there, and those will flow directly into Gym Sales, through Facebook, even through guest visits coming into your club. We've got a nice iPad app for collecting guests when they arrive. And then once all the leads are captured and centralized in one system, from there we then go through and set up an automated sales process. Now that can be sort of templated across your team. You can have multi-channel capabilities, so through calls and emails and text messages, and we can even vary that depending on the persona of the person or the channels that they came through. And then once you have that automated sales process in place, we have a whole range of KPIs and metrics and reporting to be able to monitor your team's performance. And after members have closed, we've got a fairly simple onboarding process to actually help get that member started in the club through some post-sale communication with that member as well.
Tristan, what size clubs do you generally work with?
Look, we work with a really diverse range of clubs. Our smallest locations would have a couple of hundred members up to our largest locations that have over 20,000. So we work from single chain operators to large multi-site international operators with over thousands of locations. So it's really, our customer base is really diverse.
Now, we were just having a chat before we started to record the interview today, and you were telling me about what I think is an absolute game-changing feature that you have recently added to the Gym Sales system. Do you want to tell everyone about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we've just recently released a brand new integrated calling feature into the product. So when you're in a leads profile, you can just simply click to dial and the phone call will be made out through Gym Sales. The call will then automatically detect if it's been a voicemail or if someone's picked up or if there was no answer. And then in order to save some time for the salesperson and keep all the notes on file, we automatically transcribe what's been spoken about in the call. And then we'll record the call and that can be used later on for coaching purposes. So this is really starting to improve the performance of many existing sales teams where the managers can come and review coaching calls, as well as for brand new employees when they get started. You don't need to be sitting next to them every minute of the day to make sure the calls are going well. They can all be listened to later on and coaching provided at later times.
I think that is just huge, Tristan. I know from personal experience when I had been working in a gym years and years ago, and I know how easy it is when someone is making that sales call and one of your team are making that sales call, it's easy to get distracted and perhaps the person has given you some information and maybe they forget to write it down or put it down against their profile. So what this is actually allowing us to do is capture all of that information in real time, have it transcribed, have it available in the system so you are not missing any detail that prospect might be giving you on that phone call. I just think this is huge for gym owners and managers out there, and not to mention obviously that second part of the system which you talked about, which is the training functionality. So being able to go back and listen to the phone calls and work with your team on actually improving the conversation that they're having and ensuring that you're getting the very best out of your team. So I just think this is huge. I love this. So is this available right now, Tristan?
Absolutely. We have customers of ours using it out in the field at the moment. So
amazing. Yeah. So for all of our FBP family out there that are wanting to have a chat to Gym Sales and find out more about the system overall and this amazing new function, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Sure. Well, our website is gymsales.net. We have teams available in the US, in Australia, and across in Europe. So going to our website, gymsales.net, and just taking a look on there. So I thought I'd also just mention that we're only 5 years old as a company. We're fairly young, but within that 5 years, we've grown fairly quickly to now be helping over 3,500 clubs in 24 countries. So there's plenty of other clubs that are using the product and have had great success. Somewhere upwards of 10 to 20% for most clubs of their increase in their sales.
Wow, it's an amazing result. And I know how many people are actually using you because I walked through the halls of a couple of major international conventions earlier in this year and the Gym Sales name popped up and several club owners that I know were so excited to hear that we were partnering with you because they already work with your team. So I'm really thrilled about this association, Tristan, and I want to thank you so much again and thank all of your team for coming on board as a partner of the Fitness Business Podcast.
You're welcome, Chantal.
Are you interested in increasing your centre's income and your trainer's income from small group training? Tribe Team Training is the new way to get more members engaged in small group training and paying extra. Click the Tribe Team Training link in the show notes or go to tribeteamtraining.com.au/podcast for your free formula to see how much income you can make from small group training.
Precore Quickfire 5.
This week's Precore Quickfire 5 guest is the CEO of Barry's Bootcamp, Joey Gonzalez. I am unbelievably excited to be welcoming today's guest, Joey Gonzalez from Barry's Bootcamp. Joey, welcome along.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're going to kick things off with a Precore Quickfire 5. So tell everyone, why do you do what you do?
To make change in the world and to be able to change lives.
And what's one ritual that helps you become better at what you do?
Working out at Barry's in the Red Room, actually having the experience.
And it's an incredible experience. I can vouch for that. And are there any apps or systems that you use to stay in control of your workload?
I mean, this might be an out of ordinary answer, but I use an app called Headspace that is about meditation, which keeps my workload manageable, at least in my brain.
Headspace is a great recommendation. And are there any books or podcasts or blogs that you would recommend, and why?
Start With Why is a great book I'd recommend. There's also another one called Reversing the Senses.
I don't know that one. Tell us about Reversing the Senses. Who's the author?
So his name is Martin Hubbard, and he also happens to be an executive coach we've worked with here in California. And he is just somebody who has a unique and evolved view of leadership. And he's really helped equip my executive team with the skills and the vocabulary to be able to express to one another what our needs are, and et cetera. It's really great.
So tell us one more time what the title of that book is.
Reversing the Senses.
Reversing the Senses. We'll check that out and see if we can grab the link for that on Amazon. And give us a bit of an overview about what we're going to be chatting about during your main interview.
So I think probably just, I would imagine we're going to talk about my path to CEO at Barry's.
We are definitely going to talk about that because it's been an incredible journey. And there's a few other things I'm going to sort of tap into as well while we've got you. So, Joey, thank you so much for joining me today for the Pre-Call Quickfire 5.
Thank you.
Before we finish off today, a quick reminder that you can find all the resources, the links and transcript for today's show all at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Thank you to our foundation partner, Active Management. Thank you everyone for joining me for another week of the show. I look forward to seeing you next week. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.